I'm going to tell you what it's like to visit Washington, D.C. during April. Hello, welcome to Trip Hacks DC. My name is Rob. I'm a tour guide here in the nation's capital. If you're coming to Washington, D.C. and you're looking for the best tips, tricks, and hacks for exploring the city, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification icon so that you don't miss any new videos. And if you're interested in signing up for a Trip Hacks DC tour, head on over to triphacksdc.com afterwards to see all of the tours that we offer. This video is part of my month-by-month series where I tell you what it's like to visit Washington, D.C. each month of the year, including information about the weather, things to do, special events, and other month-specific information. If you have visited D.C. during April before, leave a comment on this video and let everyone know whether you thought it was a good month to come. Otherwise, let's get started. April is one of the busiest months of the entire year for tourism. Early April is usually when we get that perfect overlap of cherry blossoms in bloom and school spring break. The weekend of peak cherry blossom bloom is always, without a doubt, the busiest, most crowded weekend of the entire year on the National Mall and Tidal Basin. The National Cherry Blossom Festival is in full swing by April, and there are several signature events and smaller events that are worth checking out. If you're interested in those events, I highly recommend Trip Hacks DC Podcast Episode 7, where I go in depth about them. I'll leave a link to the podcast down in the video description. The most important thing you need to know about the cherry blossoms is that they are notoriously difficult to time. So I recommend not trying to plan your trip around seeing the peak bloom, just to come and be pleasantly surprised if you do. April is also right in the middle of 8th grade field trip season, so be aware that when you're visiting, the museums and the monuments and memorials are going to be very crowded. I have an entire video about 8th grade field trip season if you want to find out what it's all about. April is when we get pretty reliable spring weather, but there is always a chance of a cold snap or a mini heat wave. The average daily high is 67 degrees, and the average daily low is 44 degrees. It's actually a pretty tough month of the year for giving tours, because temperature swings can happen throughout the day. For example, if I'm doing a morning tour, it might be pretty cold when we start at 9 a.m., but pretty warm by the time we finish at noon. The key to packing for April is to think in terms of layers. You don't want to bring your winter coat during April, but you might want to bring some sweatshirts and light jackets that you can layer up depending on the temperature. This is the light jacket that I usually wear during April. It's great because if it gets really warm, I can just roll it up and throw it into a backpack. The day before you leave for your DC trip, check the forecast for the next few days to see what the temperatures might be like. That way you can decide how many sweatshirts and jackets you might want to bring. You also should probably plan to pack an umbrella, regardless of what that forecast says. This is spring after all, so rain is not uncommon. There are no government holidays during April, but there are a few unofficial ones to keep an eye on. April Fool's Day is on the 1st. Tax Day is on the 15th. Patriots Day is on the 3rd Monday. And Earth Day is on the 22nd. There are no official events for any of these, but people do occasionally use them for rallies, protests, and other political events. So when you're down on the National Mall, you might find some people trying to get your attention about some issue or cause. Depending on the calendar, we could also potentially have religious holidays like Passover, Good Friday, and Easter. However, as a visitor, unless you're specifically looking for a religious event, you're probably not going to notice much happening for these holidays. Major League Baseball opening day is also usually one of the first days in April. Yeah, it's technically not a holiday, but I personally think it should be. If you agree or disagree, leave a comment and let me know. If you're a sports fan, baseball is the most accessible sport for visitors. There are a lot of games, the ballpark is easy to get to, and tickets are not overly expensive. Audi Field, the DC United soccer stadium, is also located nearby. If you're curious about either of these sports, you can check out the specific video I made about watching sports in DC, and I will leave a link down in the description. And that's it! Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, you can subscribe to this channel by clicking on the Trip Hacks DC logo, which is popping up right now at the bottom of the screen. And if you're coming to DC and want to sign up for a Trip Hacks DC tour, you can click on the Capitol Dome on the left side of my head. That'll send you over to triphacksdc.com, where you can see all of the tours that we offer. Enjoy your trip!